You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 218 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my incredibly intelligent co-host, Mr. Jeffrey Raymond Gargis. How are you, Jeff?
Did you just call me extremely intelligent?
I did, because right before we were started recording, I said, I was joking with you about how you don't do anything. And then you were like, I get incredibly intelligent people to join our team. And I'm like, yeah, that you do. So you surround yourself with really intelligent, beautiful people. And so that makes you quite intelligent for knowing to do that. So,
well, thanks. I appreciate that.
It's like the transverse property. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah. I'm intelligent. Of course I know.
That's funny. That's funny. That was a good joke there.
That's why they keep me around, everybody. So tonight was a fun night of recording podcasts, and this was a great way to end this episode. So we did 3 podcasts tonight. Those who've been listening to us for a long time know that we do a lot of our recording on Monday nights, typically 2 or 3. Tonight was 3, and 3 awesome podcasts. This was a great one to finish up tonight. Before we get into the episode and talking about our chat with Brandon and getting into there, we just started sharing out something brand new for the team. We just launched it, and that is our connected coaching programs. Super excited about it. I'm super fortunate / lucky / I'm going to say awesome, because I've been able to be working with for a couple weeks now with someone in our tier 3 one-on-one coaching, which is so awesome. It's one of my favorite things now that we do. But our connected coaching, 3 different tiers, 3 different levels, tiers that you can get into to get more connected with the team, to get more intense, in-depth coaching and connection with us. Can you break down, Ray, the 3 tiers? Do you want to go through that?
Yeah, I would be happy to, but I do just want to preface for our listeners, because we always give our listeners kind of this sneak peek, inside scoop. Guys, we have been working on this for so stinking long. Thank God it launched. Oh my gosh. All of the gray hair I have is because of this coaching. Because
do you have gray hair?
Oh yeah, a ton. See? Okay.
Oh yeah.
But you're such a jerk. We brainstormed this. Actually, Jeff, I don't know if you remember all the way back. We brainstormed this when we started thinking about how we were going to cancel the Teach Better conference. And we were talking about canceling the Teach Better conference, which was really difficult. And our team, who was in this discussion, the entire, Teach Better family, the team we have, said, yeah, we're going to cancel it, but what are we going to do to still get support for people? And this was one of the things. And so we brainstormed it. We kind of teased it a little bit in July, and then we slowly but surely need to put all these moving pieces together and get our audience ready for this massive announcement. And I'm so stinking thrilled that we are finally at the point that we can launch this with our family. So thank you for those of you who have been hearing about the news, but not yet fully gotten all the details. This is it. It's out. We can share everything with you. So like Jeff said, there's 3 tiers. Essentially, tier 1 is our first tier of support, and then it grows in intensity with support and resources and everything in between. So tier 1, if you want to picture it, it's kind of like an advisory group. I'm a middle school lover. Obviously, we can do this with all age levels, but it's kind of just a small group of educators that's going to come together. We are going to talk shop once a month, and this is just going to be a safe space where you are going to form relationships with this small group, and you're going to be able to pose questions, get feedback, set goals, and kind of follow up with them every month. So I'm excited that I actually get to be hosting one of them going on Sunday night. So you have to go check out all those details in just a second. We'll give you the website and all that stuff. But so excited for our fun little advisory group. And then the second tier is, again, just another layer of support, more resources, more personalized for you. And that's a cohort. So that is going to be, again, an even smaller group of educators. And we're going to be focusing on still in that discussion mode, still in that building relationship mode, but it's going to really be focused. So the group that actually I get to lead right now is all on mastery learning, like the grid method. So yes, it's still something that is open-ended, allows you to bring questions and us to discuss, create that safe space. But we meet once a week, and we're going to meet once a week. It's going to be the ability for you to ask questions and give you resources, going to be like on demand right then and there. I'm so stoked for that group to begin as well. And then obviously, Jeff, you kind of talked about it. Tier 3 is that one-on-one coaching. A lot of educators love popping into live videos, love the idea of like these advisor groups and cohorts, but really do just want one-on-one time. And while we do take like one-on-one phone calls with people all the time, this is a very, more dedicated program to really get you the personalized support that you need. So somebody signing up for Tier 3 is going to set that personalized goal. They actually get to pick their coach, which is wonderful. So you have a few options of who can coach you from the Teach Better team. You're going to have multiple contacts over the course of a week, and just have the ability to not only grow as an educator in the area of your choice, but also like have that person that you can text and spitball ideas kind of constantly. So I know that was kind of a broad summary, Jeff. Is there anything specifically you want to make sure we highlight for our podcast listeners related to our Connected Coaching series?
No, I think that's a good broad overview. I think a big point here is this is something that's been requested a lot and asked a lot of wanting more access, more connection, more focused, and that sort of, I don't want to say exclusive access, but like just more connected, like you said, a little more, and you kind of get a little more focused each way up, right? So advisory groups are a little more open, and then you got the cohorts that focus down, and then you got that one-on-one, which is really, like you said, your specific goals and building yours. So I'm excited for all three. I think it's gonna be really cool. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So you can get everything over at teachbetter.com/coaching, and that'll lay out the levels, and you can find out and connect and move from there. So
yeah, I won't lie, guys. There's a lot of details there. If you're like at all interested, we were like, this is an interesting idea. It lays out on at teachbetter.com/coaching. It lays out literally like dates that these are starting and like the types of contacts and the types of resources. It really has everything, because we really did want to make this kind of easy as educators kind of look at what tier is the best fit for them. We really want you to make sure you have all the details. So go check that out. And actually, I'd love if you're interested, like DM us and tell us what you're thinking. Yeah. This is brand new for us. I know it's been requested for a while, like you said, Jeff, but I'm excited to hear like what tier people pick. And if you don't know what tier, like reach out to us. We'd love to brainstorm with you.
Absolutely. Love it. So teachbetter.com/coaching for all that. Let's talk about this episode. Brandon Beck is just a dynamic dude. If I'm going to be honest, like just a lot of fun to talk to. He's a monolingual, bilingual educator. He's a soccer coach, he was a college professor. He still coaches soccer. He played soccer at the college level and the semi-pro level. He's an author, upcoming, just very soon to be released, with CodeBreaker. And just a passionate educator who I really love the fact that he really kind of started getting connected and diving into social media and connecting with other educators because of COVID. He talks about that and sort of where he's at now and how connected he is. And it's been really cool to see him come into our world like out of nowhere and then just be everywhere, which is really cool. So I was really happy that we were able to get him onto the podcast and chat with him. I had a really good time doing it. We give away a copy of his upcoming book, so you want to make sure you listen all the way through to catch how to win that. Ray, anything else to add here?
No, I'm a Brandon fan. Like, I know I say that with a lot of our guests, but Brandon was nice enough to reach out to me a little bit ago. We were able to like have a conversation together. I was thrilled when I saw his name on our podcast list as a guest. So I just really want to encourage everybody to connect with him. And I can only imagine from the amount of time that I've been connected to Brandon, his book is just going to be unbelievable. So please go check out the work he's doing. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy myself.
All right, let's get into episode 218 with Brandon Beck.
All right, we'll be right back with that episode, but I do want to make sure that you know that you should be listening to all the podcasts, a part of the Teach Better podcast network. Yes, Teach Better Talk is a fun one, and we really appreciate that you have subscribed and hopefully rated and reviewed this podcast. But we also have other podcasts that we have the opportunity to highlight over in our podcast network. Head over to teachbetter.com/podcast to see the full list.
All right, we're here and we're chatting with Brandon Beck. And Brandon, it's awesome to have you on the show. We're chatting a little bit beforehand. We're getting excited to talk to you. I'm pumped up to just kind of learn more about you, dive into your story, and hear about what you got going on. Before we get too far into all of that, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling magnificent. It's a beautiful fall day here in New York, and I'm super excited to be here. I'm a big fan of the show, and I'm a big fan of everything Teach Better at this time.
Well, Brandon, we're really glad that you're here, and I'm even more happy to announce that you're a Team Ray fan, and Jeff's one of your least favorite people. So this is really going well for me, Jeff. I know you're jealous. It's okay to be the third wheel. This is just how the podcast works sometimes. I just need you to be okay with it. Episode 218. You know what I'm saying? It'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know why I keep doing these. To be honest with you, Brandon. I think it's time. I think I'm going to call it. I think I'm out.
No! Just to confirm for our listeners, Brandon refused to pick Team Ray or Team Jeff, so I'm just going to force it on him, and that will be kind of like the mission is by the end of the podcast, maybe he'll be Team Ray. So I'm crossing my fingers over here.
It's Brandon, the Teach Better version of Switzerland.
We've debated this. It's either Schmitto or Giordano, so good luck between Caitlin and Dave.
Well, listen, Schmitto's my boy, so I have to focus on the focus.
We got a hashtag Schmitto. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I know. That's never a bad team to be on. That's a good one. Yeah. Brandon, for our listeners who may not already be connected to you, I feel like you're all over and people can connect with you in so many different spots, and they should definitely go do that. But if they're not yet familiar with your story and the work that you do, will you kind of answer that age-old question of, hey, Brandon, what do you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a monolingual, bilingual teacher, elementary teacher, that is, in New York, in Westchester County, New York. I have a wide variety of experience in teaching. I've been teaching for 17 years. Currently, I'm a fifth grade teacher in a dual language program. And I have been a soccer coach for about 17 years, just as long as I've been a teacher. And I've had been a college professor, outdoor education, and so many other things related to educating. And I've been a teacher my whole life. I come from, I like to say that I'm in the family business. My parents were teachers for 35 and 37 years. So that's about, I don't know how good my math is, but I think that's 72 years that I'm just picking up where they left off.
Wow. So you're winning us both over with the soccer coaching. Has that been at the high school level for those years? Or were we at the collegiate level? Like, what did you coach? Soccer? Do you still coach?
Yeah, absolutely. I still coach. I actually, where I live, I run a private premier soccer club with 3 of my best friends, and have about 1,000 families. I consider myself an assistant principal of this organization, and we run our soccer program for kids ages 4 to 23. And a lot of our players go on to play college soccer and even professional soccer. And I even have the pleasure to have a lot of my players come back and coach for me, which is amazing. Full circle. It's totally awesome. And, part of my reason for getting into education was always the coaching end. And I've always wanted to continue to coach. I do coach high school soccer. I'm addicted to coaching high school soccer. I can't give it up. I've tried and I just can't. I'm actually, this season, we are starting tomorrow. I'm super psyched. I got 148 wins. So 2 more wins and I make that 150 milestone. So I'm pretty psyched about that.
Now did you play too? Did you play college soccer?
I did. I played college soccer. I played semi-professional soccer as well. I went to college in New Hampshire in a little place called Keene State College.
Okay. Wow.
And it was a quality program. And I took so much from the field, and I happened to be teaching in a diverse setting where I am right now. And 60% of my students are Hispanic Latino. And my classroom is full of soccer scarves and pictures of stadiums I've been to and jerseys. And we have a real connection.
That's awesome. So what is your take on the Chicago Fire?
I was going to say, I kind of want to know your team, Brandon. Like, I feel like we need to discuss that because it just seems appropriate.
Yeah. Well, if you want to stick in the MLS, I'm a New York City FC fan. I have season tickets, way back before COVID. I used to go all the time because they play in Yankee Stadium, which is awesome because you go to Yankee Stadium for a fraction of the cost and you can walk the whole place. It's not nearly as full as it is on a Yankee game. So that is my team. And plus, when they started off, they got a bunch of big players from Europe, and it was really awesome to go see some of the best players playing over there in New York, and literally like 15 minutes from my house. So that was.
Wait, so what if we go outside of MLS?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I would say. You have to do it. I'm a Chelsea fan through and through. I'm a Blue fan.
We did talk about this. I forgot that was your one downfall. I'm sorry about that, buddy.
That is, but if you're an American, you have to root for Chelsea because we have literally our best player that we've ever produced, Christian Pulisic, who's playing for them right now.
Who, by the way, is a great player, but still not a Chelsea fan. There's no way. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I got to ask, though, what are your thoughts on Sporting Kansas City? And here's why I ask, because my cousin's actually the president over there, so I have to hate them. So he and I graduated high school at the same time, but he went to a rival school, so it started way back then. It's just one of these things. So like anytime I can turn someone against Casey, I'm good. So
well, it's going to be hard to turn me because it's funny you say that. So I also am a national instructor for the United States Soccer Federation. So as of last year, I started this role where I go around and I give licenses by the United States Soccer Federation. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but Sporting KC is the training ground for the U.S. national team. So I actually went to the facility and I fell in love with the facility, and I have a real special place there in my heart after going there. So I'm sorry to let you down, my man, but
that's
I gotta
right.
say I'm a fan.
My hating of that in Rasenham is all in love, so it is what it is. So we kind of got off of the soccer there. I knew I was going to do that, but one of the other things that you are is an author.
Yes.
So tell us about the book because it's not out yet. It's coming. Is it coming next month? Is it coming?
It's coming November 2020. I am super excited. It's a funny story because I've been writing this book since I defended my dissertation back in 2017. I knew that I was going to write a book because you spend all this time writing a dissertation. You're like, I got to do something with this stuff. And I took pieces of it and I started to put it away and I started to create this file like 3 years ago. And then every once in a while, I'd find myself in a place with some time and I'd just start writing. And after a while, I had like a table of contents and a couple bare bones and a couple stories here and there. And then rolled around to this past September 2019. And I kept saying to everybody I saw, I'm like, hey, man, I'm writing a book. And I just kept writing. I kept my head down and I just kept writing it. And I was under the impression that I had to, which is kind of interesting. And I think all authors should know this. I was under the impression that I had to have a fully perfect manuscript, fully finished from front to back to write a book and get a publishing deal. And as I started to reach out to some fellow authors and they were like, no, actually, you don't have to have the book, let the publisher tell you the idea is worth it or not. And so that gave me some hope. And then COVID hit and just obviously complete craziness in the world of everything, education and everything else. And I started to reach out to some publishers during that time. I heard back from some and then ran into Brian Aspinall over at CodeBreaker and just sat down with him and talked about my idea and listened to some of his ideas. And we chatted for a while and we ended at the call, hung up my phone, and I had a contract in my box, my mailbox. The book is titled Unlocking Unlimited Potential. And it's really about unlocking what we have inside of us. We all inside of us have this infinite potential, this infinite power that we need to be able to harness and control in order to unleash it on everyone we serve and everyone we work with.
I love the premise of that book. I'm pumped up for that. CodeBreaker does a nice job over there. A lot of awesome books out of that already. So that's awesome. Excited for that November. We're gonna do a little bit later. We're gonna give everyone a chance to maybe win a free copy signed by you for when it comes out. So we'll get to that a little bit later. But I want to talk and see if you could share a story with us about a time that you've had a failure or a challenge in your life. Can you kind of take us there with you? Tell us what happened. How did you overcome that failure, and then what did you take away from that experience?
Oh my God, I could tell a story about every single day of my life. But where do you start? I mean, failures are so critical to growth, right? And so I truly believe that. So I got to go back way back when I got to start when I was in high school. I got to start with standardized tests, and we all talk about standardized tests, whether they're good or whether they're bad, and we're always pitching that phrase. We're always pitching that statement that, standardized tests just ruin kids and they're really bad for kids, the time, the anxiety, yada, yada, yada. Well, I am that kid that you talk about that standardized tests are not designed for. And it really taught me a lot about my life. So I got to go back to high school. Around middle school, I was labeled as having a learning disability, an IEP in school. I had a bit of a language processing issue, being able to retain information, and just crazy energy and just hard time focusing, just like, pretty much most people in the world, I started to realize. But anyways, I had terrible SAT scores. I remember sitting in that room taking the standardized, the SAT, and I had unlimited time, and I think I sat in there for like 8 hours, and I stared at the wall for probably 2. Just, my standardized test scores were terrible. Luckily, I was recruited to play soccer, and I got into a college that I wanted to. And then I went on. And then when I got to college, I was confronted by another standardized test, and I had to take the Praxis 2 test. And if you're not familiar with that, that's a teacher certification exam that many people have to take around the U.S. And I failed it 3 times in undergraduate. I was stressed. I was anxious. I knew what I had to do. I studied. I did what I needed to do, but my mind would go blank as soon as that clock would tick. And then I almost wasn't accepted into my undergraduate education. I almost never was able to even get into the program to be a teacher because of a standardized test. And then luckily I overcame it. I finally passed it. And then I went on to, which was kind of the pinnacle of it all. I decided to embark on the national board certification process. And this was before they rewrote the test. They just rewrote the test, the whole process, like a couple of years ago. And so I can actually speak about this because I won't even ever forget this. So the premises of the test is that they put you in this room, you go to some Pearson testing office in the middle of nowhere, you get some headphones and you get a computer screen in front of you. And you get these little modules, and they're 30-minute modules. And basically what happens is they give you a scenario. And they give you a scenario. And this particular scenario was this. It said, your student asks you, and I'll never forget this to this day. Your student asks you, why isn't there a rainbow after every time it rains? And then it says, you're going to create a lesson plan for a 3rd grade classroom that explores and answers that question, and with objectives, with assessment possibilities. And you're going to describe this, and the clock is going to start now. Boom, 30 minutes. I sat there, my jaw dropped on the floor. When on earth have you ever been in a situation where someone walks into your room and they're like, hey, you're going to teach this. You can't use the internet. You can't use a book. You can't ask a colleague. You can't do anything but just use what you know. And that is what is going to define who you are as an educator. And I was upset. I passed every single part of the national board certification except this one part. And it was because of the freaking rainbow question. And I was crushed. Unfortunately, I didn't get national board certification at that time. I went back, and once again, I retook the test. So the moral of the story is that the test taught me that the score most definitely does not define who you are as a student. And I have made myself very true to that mission as an educator.
Oh, I love this story. I not only loved your story about just your experience as a learner, but then also the absurdity in this test question. Like, ooh, that had so many wonderful moving pieces that I feel like we could dive into and just break apart into 1,000 more conversations. I hope all of our listeners can take a snippet of that story and maybe fold that into a conversation they have later today. To really debate kind of like what our students need and how we should be evaluating them and everything in between. So good. So when we're thinking about education, and especially like when we're thinking about overcoming hurdles, I mean, geez, when you started talking about having an IEP, I'm somebody who also had an IEP growing up, and it like gave me anxiety having you talk about like getting your national board cert and everything else. I'm like, oh, these are just such scary situations to put yourself in after you've overcome so much already. I'm really interested in knowing, like with everything going on in your life, what's really fueling your fire? What's really keeping you excited about education and all that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that has me excited about education, and I think most importantly is, I kind of reinvented my purpose and had a lot of time to think through it when the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden schools are closed everywhere, and we have to now start thinking about what's it going to look like teaching students that are not physically in front of us. And then all of a sudden, we all made it together through the end of the 2019-20 school year. And then we open up to 2020, and it's like everybody has no idea what tomorrow is going to look like. And for me, that was kind of an opportunity and a chance to take more risks and a chance to really, look in the mirror and think about what's working and what's not working. There is so much that cannot work on a daily basis, and there's so much that we can doubt on a daily basis. But it really forced me to turn to my community. I mean, I never knew half of the people that I know now. I think when COVID started, I think I had like 200 followers on Twitter. I think I've gotten a few more, but my point is I also now participate in participate in at least 3 to 4 weekly Twitter chats. I participate in a lot of different conversations with other people. I'm constantly talking to other people, reaching out to people in the Twitterverse in my PLN. And I have so many different resources that I never had before. And being able to hear how something is happening differently in Kansas, or how something is different in California, or how everything is the same and we're all feeling those same struggles and everybody has their different ideas, has just been such a rewarding thing. So I am super excited about the promise that this new experience has for all of us.
Oh, I'm so glad you chose to share your story more and connect with others and just continue to share your insight and collaborate. That is so awesome. I'm sure that kind of lends itself to the piece of advice that you might want to give an educator. I mean, hey, if you have not gotten on social media, if you're not growing your PLN, maybe that's a great piece of advice like for people to consider. But if you had to pinpoint only one thing that you could share with teachers, like only one idea, one piece of advice for either a new teacher or a veteran teacher in the classroom right now, what would be your suggestion for them?
So no matter what, don't be afraid to go off the script. Take risks that are meaningful to you and your students. If you fail to be creative and innovative, then why are you doing what you're doing? And if you fail, get back up.
I love that.
Good advice. Let's give a book away. How about that?
Let's do it. As soon as it comes out, I will definitely get it to this person.
All right, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna give away a copy of the book. You're gonna sign it, and boom, send it out as soon as it's done, which is obviously gonna be November. So you gotta wait at least till November, but that's okay. It's gonna be worth the wait. I can just tell. So we need something for them to do. So you need to tweet out at us. Do you have a question maybe you want to have them answer
Oh man,
Brandon, or
I have so many questions going through my head right now, but I am thinking I would love to have someone share their unlocking unlimited potential story. This could be an aha moment. This could be a moment when they thought they could not and they ended up being able to do.
ooh, I like that. So tweet that out. Make sure you tweet that out at us at Teach Better Team, hashtag Teach Better Talk. You can tag Brandon on there, Brandon Beck EDU, and share that story. And we're going to pick one, and Brandon's going to send you a signed copy of the book as soon as it comes out. So that's awesome, man. Appreciate you doing that for the listeners. Let's keep having some fun here. We're going to do the next 6 questions. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. What is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
FlipGrid.
What's a book you're reading right now?
Let's see. Daily STEM by Chris Woods, Choose to Be You by Mark Brown, and Limitless by Jim Quick.
Give us up to 3 people that we need to follow on either Twitter or Instagram today.
Well, the one and only Brian Aspinall, at Mr. Aspinall. The Road to Awesome, my fellow warrior, Darren Peppard, at Darren M. Peppard. And Frank Rudnesky at Dr. Frank Rudd. He is coming out with a book, the next book in the CodeBreaker platform, and he is the man.
Give us a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast for educators to check out.
Oh, my pals Che and Pav over at the Staff Room Podcast.
They're good, aren't they?
They're the best. I love those two. They're actually in my book, actually, so I'm psyched about that.
Awesome. Well, shout out to Che and Pav. Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
All right. Daily, I listen to an EDU podcast like this one on the way to work. Weekly, I participate, like I said before, in weekly Twitter chats, hashtag Build Hope EDU on Sundays, CodeBreaker on Tuesdays, hashtag Education Never Dies on Wednesdays, and the one and only, drumroll please, on Thursdays, the Mastery Chat.
Boom.
I love it. And finally, the best piece of advice you've ever received.
So my soccer team, way back when, I asked them to come up with a motto for our team, and we never have changed it since. Respect all, fear none.
Ooh.
I like that a lot.
Respect all, fear none. Ugh, such a good. That is trophy worthy, Jeff. I think it's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's so good. Brandon, I want to make sure our listeners can stay connected to you, not only because you're constantly connecting and providing so much value to others, but also that they can, keep an eye out for the book and get all those notifications. So all that's going to be so awesome. Would you mind sharing how people can stay connected?
Yeah, so my website is brandonbeckedu.com. In fact, everything is Brandon Beck EDU. My Twitter and my Instagram is at Brandon Beck EDU. And yeah, just remember that statement, Brandon Beck EDU. I think you'll be able to find me in some way or another.
And you can find all the links and resources and everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those links to connect with Brandon, even though he made it really easy for you to find him, by the way. So, but if you do forget, you can find everything over at teachbetter.com in the show notes. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and a review, we'd appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators and share this podcast with them. Brandon, this was awesome. Really excited to have you on. Super excited about everything you got going on. Pumped up for the book to come out. Excited for people to listen to this episode and take away value and hopefully connect with you and keep the conversation going. Just really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us. Thank you.
No, it was my pleasure. I'm a big fan of everything you guys are doing, so just keep doing it. It's inspiring so many, and I'm super excited to continue to be a part of the community. I think I also have a guest blog coming out with you guys, I think around October 28th as well.
Dude, really? I can actually look. If our listeners will hold on for a half second, I can tell you when that's coming out. Let me check really quick here, because this is how good Carrie is, who runs our blog and everything we do over there. Like, she makes it super easy for me to figure it out. Let's see, where is he? Brandon Beck, there it is. We got it coming out on the 13th, actually, I think.
All right. Move me up.
Come out pretty quick here. So right. Good stuff. That's over at Teach Better. So don't miss that. That's even better. Like, how in are you right now? So on the podcast, you're writing over there. Love that, Brendan. Appreciate you, brother.
No, the feeling is mutual, guys.
Until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.